We are going to solve a couple linear equations, and what I'd like you to do is pause it right now and go ahead and work the first problem, and then I'll work it out. On the left you can see the steps that you need to do. So let's begin. The first step says clear the grouping symbols. That'd be the parentheses. So what I need to do is I need to multiply through by that negative. That's actually a -1. So what you're going to do is you're going to change the signs of everything inside the parentheses. So this would be 7n minus 2n. And here's where people make mistakes. Right here, that's got to change to a -8. You got to change both signs. Equals 32. So step 1 is to get rid of any grouping symbols, any fractions. Step 2 is to combine like terms. So 7n minus 2n is 5n minus 8 equals 32. And then I'm going to add 8 to both sides. This is step 3. Use the addition property of equality. And so -8 plus 8 is 0. What you're trying to do is to get the variable by itself. So that leaves the variable by itself on the left-hand side. And 32 plus 8 is 40. And the last step you're going to, or the fourth step, is going to use the multiplication property of equality. And you're going to multiply both sides by 1/5. It's easiest just to divide by 5 in this case. And that gives you n equals 8. The last step is to check. And the way you check is you plug 8 in for n. So you're going to plug an 8 in for that n and an 8 in for that n. So that leaves us 7 times 8 minus parentheses 2 times 8 plus 8. And that's supposed to equal 32. Does it? Well, let's see. That's 56. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 8. And that'd be 56. 16 plus 8 would be 24. And then 56 minus 24 is 32. And that's what it was supposed to equal, 32. So it checks out. Okay, let's do another example. Go ahead and pause the video and work this one. It has a fraction in it. Okay, let's get started. There's no, it says to clear the fractions, but in this case, I actually would not clear the fractions. I'm going to do it two ways. I'll do it a second way and actually clear the fractions, but right now I'm going to leave it the way it is. So this is 2/3 x. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I'm all the way down to step 3. So that leaves me 2/3 x equals 6. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a multiplication property. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. I want to get the variable, the coefficient of the variable, equal to 1. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3/2. And that gives you the 2's divide out here. The 3's divide out. That gives you 1x. And on this side, 2 goes into 6 3 times. And you get 9. And then you plug it in to check and make sure it works. I'm going to go ahead and do this by clearing out the fractions. It's pretty cool. Okay. Step 1 says clear the fractions. Well, what you do is multiply through by the least common denominator of all the fractions. There's only one fraction, so I'm going to multiply through by 3. And when you multiply through, you multiply every term by 3. If you do that, these 3's divide out, leave you 1. So it's just 2x minus 3. And then 5 times 3 is 15. And then you're down to step 3. You want to add 3 to both sides. You get 2x equals 18. And then divide by 2. And you get x equals 9. And that's how you solve linear equations. The two key steps are step 3 and step 4. Addition property of equality means you can add the same number to both sides of the equation. It doesn't affect the solution. And the multiplication property of equality, if if you multiply both sides of the equation by the same number, it gives you an equivalent equation. It doesn't affect the solution.